Hi everyone, my name is Mikayla and I will be discussing Dr. Liu and I's study on Canada's apparel market and sourcing patterns. The content of this presentation will go over background, an overview of the Canadian apparel market, and then a section on apparel sourcing patterns in Canada. Canada is one of the world's top 10 apparel consumption markets, and like many other developed countries, apparel sold in Canada is predominantly imported. Therefore, Canada remains a huge sourcing and market access opportunity for all kinds of fashion companies. The findings of the study will provide valuable inputs for researchers, students, and fashion companies alike. Moving forward, the Canadian apparel market is large and mature. While it's not the size of Germany or Japan, it is close in size to both France and larger than Spain, which are both countries known for apparel. Canada's market also exhibits steady growth. While Canada's growth rate of 1.1% might not seem that large, it is good. Rather, over the same period, many other developed countries, such as the US, had negative GDP growth, like the US, which declined by 1.1%, followed by other European countries that declined by 1%. With this growth, excluding the factor of COVID-19, retail sales could reach $29.5 billion. And as far as product category, women's wear is the most significant contributor to market growth, accounting for half of retail sales in 2018. Next, the Canadian apparel market is highly competitive. How can we tell? Hundreds of local, regional, and national brands compete within the market, with both international brands like Nike, H&M, Adidas, and local brands like Canada Goose or Lululemon taking up large portions of the market share. However, even the largest player, Gap, holds only 3.5% of the market. Think about Apple and how large their market share is in tech. Further, Nike, the second largest, holds only 2%. As you can see, no player dominates the Canadian market, making it highly competitive. Now, where do Canadians consumers shop? Most Canadians shop in stores. However, store-based retailing is in decline. This doesn't mean that all retailers will have the same fate. Rather, department stores are struggling more because of their wide variety of product that makes it difficult to manage. From appliances to apparel, it's overall harder. Whereas specialty stores can have a more solid performance because they can narrow down product selection to suit a key consumer. Finally, e-commerce is booming with a growth rate of 13.2% since 2005. Moving on to apparel sourcing patterns, the volume of Canada's apparel imports mirrors its economic growth. So when GDP grows faster, apparel imports grow faster. This reminds us that because of COVID-19, Canada's GDP growth will decline, and correspondingly, apparel import growth will decline. Second, although China remains the top apparel supplier for Canada, Canadian fashion companies are increasingly sourcing from South Asia. I want to highlight that China's market share is still very large. Even though its market share has dropped, China is still relevant. But who is replacing China? Bangladesh and Vietnam have been absorbing China's orders and are serving as alternatives. Lastly, the EU is gaining market share because of a trade agreement between Canada and the European Union. Third, near sourcing from the Americas remains an essential component of Canadian fashion companies' sourcing portfolio. Near sourcing is important because it allows for high speed to market, getting trendy items to consumers quickly, and frequent replenishment to increase sales. However, NAFTA sourcing is in decline because Canada uh, is can source less expensive product in South America, and the general uncertainty surrounding NAFTA negotiations makes companies nervous. Lastly, Canadian fashion companies actively use tariff preference levels to source from the NAFTA region. However, even tariff preference level usage has declined because companies are worried that NAFTA will not stay in place. Some questions to ask as we go into 2021 are, will the implementation of the US-Mexico-Canada Trade Agreement expand North America textile and apparel production and sourcing? How might COVID-19 affect Canada's apparel consumption and sourcing? And what is the future role of China as a sourcing destination for Canadian fashion companies? Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to contact myself or Dr. Shang Lu. Thank you.